Okay, the poem titled The Sunshine Cat, as you read the poem and you understand that the title serves as what actually a comparison, right? It is a metaphor. A metaphor for what? Metaphor for woman's struggle, right? Woman's struggle for what? Love, dignity, self-respect, and also you can say that yeah, that's what the love, dignity, and self-respect. So where actually, where do they want, and from whom do they want? They want it from the male, right or not? Or you can say that they require those of the things from a patriarchal society. Patriarchal society means male-dominated society. So the sunshine cat is a symbolic of a woman who desires warmth. What does that woman want? So warmth, affection, and freedom. But is instead restricted by what societal expectations, isn't it? Those of the things she is not getting. So instead of that, what she is getting now, that's something called as she is restricted by societal expectations. So society expects something from the woman. So much like a cat that desires for sunshine, but what happened? It's caged. Caged, do you understand? So captured and kept in the four circle, you can say that iron rod bar. The title suggests a contrast between hope and suffering, right? So freedom and entrapment, hope and suffering, and you can say that freedom and entrapment, highlighting what the predicament of women in a world that often objectifies and tortures, objectifying and also you can say oppresses them, these women. So if you talk about the point, let's go for the discussion of this point. You can say that the sunshine cat, it goes into the struggles of a woman, the oppression they face, and their emotional disturbance, turmoil, which we say that. Let's say the first line where it is stated, the theme of abnormality and neurosis. What do you mean by the theme of abnormality and neurosis that you draw from this point? When you read the poem, you would find out that the poem begins by what? Discussing the presence of abnormality and neurotic elements in the poem. The speaker suggests that what? Only someone who has suffered so deeply, who is emotionally tortured, wounded, can express such feelings. Right? So, and that's what we find out Kamala Das poem is all about. Kamala Das poetry is often autobiographical. Autobiographical means what she went through that she described, isn't it? But it is not just about her own life. It speaks for many women who have faced similar struggles. So the poet's emotions are nothing but the raw and intense, deeper, which might make some people think she is a mad, but in reality, her pain and the suffering are real, caused by what? Caused by societal oppression. Societal oppression means what? That called as a societal torture, isn't it? So you can say when you talk about the oppression of a woman, the point highlights what? How women are often seen as objects of love and desire rather than as human beings. So woman is not a toy to be used as, used and discarded. You use it and reject it. No, reject her. She is not a painted doll. She is not a painted doll. It means for display. You see the picture of that doll. Despite expressing her pain and suffering, nothing changes up for her. If you do not express, you do not present your pain or suffering, so no one can change you, isn't it? So society does not accept what? Now her struggles. Whose struggle? Her struggle. So the passage or the poem makes some questions out, like who truly understands a woman's emotions? Who truly understands a woman's emotion? Who sees beyond her body and desires to know her soul? Isn't it? This is something called as a kind of a question that you draw from the poem, isn't it? So you also find out the omen, the operation of omen is leading to betrayal and disillusionment in love. Betrayal means you understand that called as a dhokebaz, dhoka dena, right? Means backstabbing, coward nature. So and disillusionment in love. When you say that the poem discusses how love, attraction, and relationship are not always based on true emotion, right? So if somebody loves, somebody attracts, somebody makes a relationship, they're not always based on true emotions. It's all on the basis of the practical mind, isn't it? So many men approach women with a selfish intentions, pretending to love, show that I love, right? So, but eventually betraying and abandoning them. Betraying means what? Rejecting them and discontinue relationship with them, isn't it? So, women in their loneliness and search for love sometimes fall into situations where they are deceived and taken advantage of. Even what happened now when they are alone, when they are in search of love, so they fall into a kind of a situation where they have been taken advantage, right? They have been taken advantage and they have been deceived also, right? So society often judges women harshly, very badly, but remains blind to the way men manipulate and use them. So one side, women have been harsh, women have been treated harshly, right? And society means closed its eyes, blinds. But at the same time, when men, right? So men manipulate. At the same time, also society doesn't say anything to them, isn't it? So that is what indicates about the struggles of a woman in society. When we say that women often cry in silence, women often cry in silence. No one truly understands their pain. That's what the poem stated. Many men pretend to love, but eventually betray women, deceive women, leaving them heartbroken. Women are expected to be loyal. Women are expected to be pure, right? I mean, women are expected to be submissive, surrender, right? While men are free to do as they please, isn't it? It's a purely criticism. The point questions the idea of love. Is real or called as is love real? If only leads to suffering, if is love, you can say that is love real? Means if it only leads to suffering. So do you think that love is real? So if it leads to the suffering, so by looking at that, the poet Kamala presents the poem called Sunset. And the idea of a sunset cat is what? The sunset cat uses the metaphor of a yellow cat. Yellow cat. So what do you mean by yellow cat? That called it a streak of sunlight, desire of sunlight, to represent the woman's only companion in her locked room. So whose only companion? Woman's only companion, right? So you would find out yellow cat, a streak of sunlight. The point explains that a woman is not just a thing of sexual gratification. When you say that sexual gratification means sexual pleasure, right? So she is a human being with an emotion or with the emotions and desires, right? A cat cannot be tamed if it is not loved and allowed freedom. A cat cannot be tamed if it is not loved and allowed freedom. Similarly, a woman cannot survive in isolation and neglect. Right? The point suggests that women, when denied love and when denied companionship, can wither away emotionally and mentally. Wither away means cause death emotionally and mentally. So the point stated that means woman forced isolation and a loveless life. The poem highlights that what how women, like the woman in the poem, right, so are often forced into isolation. The husband in the poem locks his wife in a room with only books and sunlight for a company. Then over time, even the sunshine, symbolizing hope, right? Sunshine is the companion for the cat, and the woman who have the companion is called hope, right? So here means you would find out the sunshine, which is symbolizing hope, fades away, and the woman is left cold and lifeless, both physically and emotionally, right? So this reflects how women in unhappy marriages or oppressive societies lose their vitality, lose their energy and spirit over time. So, but what are the things that cause marriage, loneliness, and desire for freedom? Isn't it? Now, the point suggests that the sunset cat might be a critic of mismatched marriages, where women are forced into relationship without love. So, older husbands with younger wives or marriages without emotional connection that can lead to dissatisfaction, isn't it? So, the point questions why can't a woman desire freedom and fulfillment? So, why is society quick to judge women but not men for seeking happiness outside of marriage? Isn't it? So, the pain of being misunderstood, the pain of being misunderstood. So the point suggests that women's emotions and desires are often misunderstood even by those who are very close to them or closest of them. If a woman's own family or husband doesn't understand her, who else will understand? Right? In the point, the sunshine cat, the woman eventually becomes cold and half dead because of the neglect and the emotional abandonment or emotionally discontinuation she faces. Right. So the point and the point ask a powerful question: is this the life of a woman that she deserves? That she deserves, isn't it? So the Sunshine Cat is a powerful feminist poem that highlights the emotional suffering of women who are trapped in a loveless relationship. So the poem expands on these themes, questioning societal norms and the women are being treated, isn't it? It emphasizes that women are more than just objects, right, of love and desire. They are human beings who need understanding, freedom, and the respect. Got my point? So let's look into the line by line discussion of this poem. So, what do we find out in the poem? The poem begins with the stanza one, the main in her life, right? The main in her life. That is what the first stanza suggests. What did it say? They did this to her. They did this to her. The men who know her. They did this to her. The men who know her. The man she loved, who loved her not enough. Being selfish and a coward, the husband who neither loved nor used her, but was a ruthless watcher. Such a remarkable stanza, isn't it? So they did this to her, the men who know her, the man she loved, who loved her not enough. Being selfish and a coward, the husband who neither loved nor used her. Yeah, that's something. But was a ruthless watcher, right? So the point begins by explaining what suffering of a woman caused by the man in her life. Isn't it? That is what you would find out. So the poem explains in the first stanza that she loved a man. She loved a man, but he did not love her enough. Right? So he was selfish. He was, he was afraid of commitment. Right? Who? He refers to men. So her husband, it is stated, no, she loved who loved her not enough, being selfish and a coward. The husband who neither loved. It means her husband neither loved her nor showed any physical affection towards her. So instead, what he did, used her, but was a ruthless watcher. So he remained used her means he remained used and detached, separated, only watching her pain. Ruthless watcher, no. It means you don't have the kindness in your heart. You see the woman is crying and suffering from pain. So that's what, only watching her pain without trying to comfort or understand. Right? That's what is the first stanza. Hope you understood this. Then the second stanza, and the band of cynics, and the band of cynics he turned to, clinging to their chest, where new hairs sprouted like great winged moths, burrowing her face into their smells, and their young lost to forget, oh, to forget. Right. Now see that desires nothing but a love from others, seeking love, desiring love from others. What did it say? And the band of cynics he turned to. So desperate for love and affection, she turns to other men. Right. The woman turn to other men, hoping that these men would fill the void in her life. The void in her life means the lacuna in her life, isn't it? And the band of cynics he turned to, clinging to their chest where new hair sprouts like a great winged moth. So these men are described as cynics, cynics. It means strongly negative minded, selfish people. Right. So these men are cynics. They do not believe in love. Right. So this description where it is stated clinging to their chest where new hair sprouted, it indicates that their chest with the new hair sprouted like a great winged moth suggests that they are young, right? They are young and driven by passion rather than emotion, right? Practical people, not the emotional fool, right? So passing rather than emotion. So she buries herself in their physical presence. She buries herself in the physical presence, desiring nothing but a what? Comfort and distraction from our emotional pain. Right. So desiring what? Comfort and distraction from her emotional pain. So whatever the pain she went through, so that she tries to recover. So her only desire is what? To forget. Forget what? How she spends her loneliness. How she spends her loneliness. How she was suffering through the sadness. So that she wants to forget. To forget. Oh, to forget. Right. Oh, to forget means sadness to forget. So stanza 3 that stated that the means indifference of men. How? Now when you say that, and they said, they means referring to the men. They said, each of them, I do not love, I cannot love. It is not in my nature to love, but I can be kind to you. Now see the kind of a human being or male society or patriarchal society. The main she turns to make him to love her, right? So they make her clear. They make her clear what? That they do not love. That they do not love her. They said each of them that I do not love, I cannot love. It is not in my nature to love. It indicates that they tell her that love is not in their nature. Right. They can only offer what? They can only offer kindness. They can only offer nothing but means, support, but not deep emotional connection. Right? Not deep emotional connection. You expect the friendship, but you don't expect the kind of love or affection you wish from me, isn't it? So this shows nothing but what how the woman is repeatedly let down. How the woman is repeatedly let down, as no one is willing to love. No one is willing to love her genuinely, isn't it? Now, stanza 4 stated that losing her sanity. If you say that, how? No, they let her slide from pegs. They let her slide from pegs of sanity into a bed made soft with the tears. And she lay there weeping, for sleep had lost its use. Now see that. They let her slide from pegs of sanity into a bed made soft with the tears, and she lay there weeping, for sleep had lost its uses. Now, this also shows the emotion and how the man treated to the woman. So the poet pointed that because of the emotional negligence, neglect and rejection, so you can say that she begins to lose her sanity. Sanity means mental balance, right? Turned abnormal. So she spends her days by crying and crying and crying. So making her bed soft with the tears, right? So it indicates that a kind of a metaphor for her deep sadness. So she is unable to sleep. She is unable to sleep. Her sadness is too overwhelming, right? So that's what it is stated. For sleep had lost its youth. She cannot sleep. She is, means her sadness is something which is nothing but impossible to express, right? So the next is called as a stanza 5. I shall build walls with the tears. She said, walls to shut me in, right? I shall build walls with the tears. She said, walls to shut me in. So what does she decide? She decides to withdraw from the world and isolate herself. Withdraw means some women decide to commit suicide. Some women decide to reject from the society. Some women, right, do not hear the kind of emotion. So she decides to withdraw from the world and isolate or alone herself. The walls with the tears. Walls with tears means symbolizes nothing but emotional barriers. So she builds to protect herself from further hurt. So she cries and cries, and as much hurt as she faces. Right. So she no longer desires to seek love. Now she doesn't need love. So she just wants to be alone. Right. So Stanza 6 says, her husband shut her in. Every morning locked her in a room of books with a streak of sunshine lying near the door like a yellow cat to keep her company. Now that shows the husband's cruelty. Right? What kind of a cruelty? Her husband shut her in. So every morning locked her in a room of books with a streak of sunshine lying near the door like a yellow cat to keep her company. So her husband responds to her breakdown. Breakdown means that called as emotion by literally locking her, actually locking her in a room every morning. So the room has nothing but books. The room has nothing but books and sunshine. But they cannot provide a real companionship of warmth. Books do not. So the only thing keeping her company is a ray of sunshine near the door. That the ray of sunshine that falls on the uh, ground in our door. So which is compared to yellow cat, right? So the sunshine cat represents a small glimmer of hope or warmth, right? In our otherwise lonely and rejected, confined, restricted life, isn't it? So, next is, but soon winter came, and one day while locking her in, he noticed that the cat of sunshine was only a line, a half thin line, isn't it? The place where all the time it arrives, right? The woman who always have that hope, right? So you can say that as winter arrives, so the sunlight that once reached her room starts fading, disappear, isn't it? The sunshine cat which once brought her some comfort is now just a thin line. Right. This symbolizes the gradual disappearance of a warmth and hope that he will love me, right, in her life. So gone. gradual disappearance of warmth and hope in her life. Right? So that shows nothing but the coming of winter and her decline, isn't it? Coming of winter, her decline. That's what 7th stanza stated. Stanza 8 says her means you can say that her final state. That's nothing but a cold and lifeless. And in the evening, when he returned to take her out, she was a cold and half dead woman. Now of no use at all to me. Such a lovely ending you will find. Such a lovely ending. That sage, one day she dies. Right? So, and in the evening when he returned, when the husband returns in the evening, so take her out. She was a cold and half dead woman. What did he find? He found her body, lifeless body, emotionally drained body, emotionally broken body. Right. So she was a cold and half dead woman, now of no use at all to men. She is described as cold and half dead. It means that she has lost all her emotion, desires, and will to live. The phrase now of no use at all to me is deeply tragic, sad. Why? Because it shows how society sees women as valuable only when they serve men's needs. They serve men's needs. Since she is now emotionally destroyed, no one finds her useful anymore. Right? So reinforcing the cruelty of her existence. Right? So show the more cruelty towards her. Right? So and always shows nothing but why she is alive. Right? So if you talk about the overall meaning and themes of the poem, that called as a loneliness and emotional abuse, isn't it? The woman is trapped in a world where no one truly cares for her. Second, patriarchy and oppression. When you say that patriarchy is called a male-dominated society and oppression is called as a torture. So she is restricted by her husband and treated as an object rather than a person. So unfulfilled love and betrayal. Unfulfilled love and betrayal. She desires love but only finds indifference. So freedom versus confinement. The sunshine cat represents hope. The sunshine cat represents, means warmth, right? Which eventually disappears. Just as her will to live disappears or fades away, right? So, all total, you can say Kamala Das narrates or portrays the woman's suffering in a deeply emotional way. Shows what how societal expectations and emotional neglect can destroy a person. The poem ends tragically and reinforcing the idea that women in a patriarchal society often suffering in silence, suffer in silence with no escape from them, isn't it? That's what is the sense. Hope you understood. You would find out some of the poetic devices are used, like metaphor, the sunshine cat, imagery. Also, you would find out she is not a toy to be sold, kept locked. Then rhetorical question. Rhetorical question is question which is asked for the sake of not answer, but to then say observe, understand. That called as a can she be not free? Can she be not free? That's a rhetorical question. The speaker asks questions like this: is this love? Right. So to challenge societal norms and engage the reader in critical thought. Think about it. Repetition, you also find out how does a woman, these are the phrases, who has but thought about. This emphasize the speaker's frustration and reinforce the central idea. Then alliteration, the repetition of consonant sounds such as in bitrate and dodge, uh, creates a rhythmic effect that increases the emotional intensity of the point. Then the last one, symbolism. When you talk about symbolism, that called it the Rudraks and books. The Rudraks and books, right? Symbolizes nothing but or symbolize spirituality and knowledge. Rudraksha Mali. So women use it and japa garati, right? And the knowledge. So contrasting with the youthful desires of woman, right? Now imagine that the woman, if spends her life in such kind of a rudrakshas and sadness, right, or your knowledge, right. So it seems like love evades or fades away from her life, right. So it's nothing but the point is a powerful exploration of female identity, right, and societal hypocrisy, right? How the society is full of nothing but a coward, isn't it? So the title Sunshine Cat aptly expresses the central theme of a woman's desiring for freedom and affection in a restrictive society, isn't it? Though, or throughout the poem, you would find out the poet presents the confessional expression, right? And poetic devices that use to the poem makes the poem beautiful. The poem actually captures the deep struggles and emotions of women in a world that often denies them autonomy and truth. So we just snatch their autonomy and we also do not allow them to go for the truth. Beautiful poem. Hope you understood all.